Hi, everyone. All right, I hope you're ready for the next book battle. Out of our bracket, the next books that had won, were The Invisible Boy versus Pig the Fibber. So we're going to start off with... I'm going to start off with Pig the Fibber for this one. So we're very big fans of Pig the Fibber in our classroom, or Pig the Pug, I should say. This book belongs to Trevor. No, it's Pig's. So Pig the Pug always does some pretty interesting things. So starting our battle with Pig the Fibber, written and illustrated by Aaron Flaby. Trying to adjust this positioning is weird, not having you guys in front of me. I'll hold the book up in case we can't see all the pictures. All right. I think if I push it back this way, I think I'd get it by now, but nope. Okay, I think. Okay, there we go. Pig was a pug, and I'm sorry to say, he would often tell lies just to get his own way. And when he would fib, he was awfully clever. When Pig got in trouble, he would always blame Trevor. You see, he would mess up the living room mat, crazy eyes, and then he'd just point and say, Trevor did that. Or he'd shatter a beautiful vase full of flowers. And then he'd say, Trevor's been crazy for hours. Trevor's like, what? He once even ripped up a lovely old dress. It's a wedding dress. Then he hid behind Trevor and made him confess. Why do you do this? Asked poor little Trevor. I thought we were friends. But Pig said, whatever. Not a very good friend. Then came the day of Pig's sneakiest plan. He said, I will steal all the treats that I can. They keep them up there in the closet up high. But before I can get them, I need a good lie. He said Pig was practicing his side eye there. And with that, he let rip. It was stinky and grim. Then he pointed at Trevor and said, it was him. Gross. So Trevor was taken outside for some air. This was Pig's chance, and he climbed on a chair. Those treats will be mine, and I'll gobble them all. But behind all those treats was an old bowling ball. Yikes. These days, it's different, I'm happy to say. Pig has stopped lying. Hip, hip, hooray! He may have some bruises and one less front tooth, but he sure learned his lesson. And that is the truth. That old Pig. At least he was learning his lesson from it. All right, there's Pig the Fibber. And next up, we have The Invisible Boy. And this is written by Trudy Ludwig and illustrated by Patrice Barton. We really loved, when we read this the first time, we loved the illustrations in the background that the illustrator used, like lined paper like we would use, to add some illustrations, which we thought was very creative. Can you see Brian, the invisible boy? Even Mrs. Carlotti has trouble noticing him in her classroom. She's too busy dealing with Nathan and Sophie. Nathan has problems with what Mrs. Carlotti calls volume control. He uses his outside voice inside too much. Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her way. Nathan and Sophie take up a lot of space. Brian doesn't. When the bell rings for recess, Micah and JT take turns choosing kids for their kickball teams. The best players get picked first. Then the best friends of the best players. Then the friends of the best friends. Only Brian is left, still waiting and hoping. JT glances in Brian's direction and just as quickly looks away. We've got enough players for each team, he tells the others. Let's play ball. In the cafeteria, Madison and her friends talk about her birthday party. The rope swing over the pool was awesome, says JT. Yeah, so was the water slide, adds Fiona. That was the best pool party ever. I'm so glad you guys had fun, says Madison. Everybody did, except Brian. He wasn't invited. So pause and think for a moment. How do we think Brian's feeling after all these things are happening? At choosing time, while the other kids play board games and read, Brian sits at his table, doing what he loves to do best. He draws fire-breathing dragons scaling tall towers. Thank you for toasting my marshmallow. Space aliens locked in intergalactic battles. I got you now. Greedy pirates digging for treasure. Crackers? Arg! Yay! And superheroes with the power to make friends wherever they go. Hi, friend. Have a cookie. Hi. On Monday morning, Mrs. Carlotti introduces Justin, a new student, to the class. Brian smiles shyly at him. Some of the other kids sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he's cool enough to be their friend. They haven't quite made up their minds yet. We notice something starting to happen. Oh, it's Brian over here. See if you notice him in the pictures. At lunch, Madison and JT watch Justin eat with chopsticks. What's that? Asks Madison as she points at Justin's foods. It's bulgogi. Bul what? Bulgogi. It's Korean barbecued beef. My grandma made it for me. It's really good. Do you want to try some? There's no way I'm eating booger ghee. And the kids laugh. All of them. This is except Brian. He sits there, wondering, which is worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible? The next day, when Justin goes to his cubby to put away his backpack, he notices a piece of paper with his name on it. Justin, I thought the bulgogi looked great. Brian. Yum. That was very sweet. At morning recess, Brian finds a piece of chalk on the ground and starts drawing. You're Brian, right? Yeah. Thanks for the note. Hey, Justin, Emilio calls out from the tetherball court. You're up next. Sorry, I gotta go, says Justin. By the way, that's a really cool drawing, he adds before taking off. Do you notice what's happening to Brian in the photos? Back in class, Mrs. Carlotti asks the kids to team up in 2s or 3s for a special project. The kids scurry around the room to pair off. Brian heads toward Justin. I'm already with Justin, says Emilio. Find somebody else. Brian looks at the floor, wishing he could draw a hole right there to swallow him up. Mrs. Carlotti said we can have up to 3 people in our group. We're only 2. Come on, Emilio. Let him work with us. Okay, I guess. Mrs. Carlotti gives the class directions for the project. Your assignment is to work together to write a story about what you see in the photograph. Use your imagination and have fun. Whoa, So cool, says Emilio. What kind of people do you think would live in houses like this? I don't know, but I bet Brian could draw them to go with our story, says Justin. Brian smiles as he takes out his lucky pen. Something really special happened there. Look at all these fun things they're doing together. And we liked when we read this in class that it said, "The crooked story we made up on the spot" was the title of their play. It's lunchtime again. Brian's least favorite part of the day. Another 20 long minutes of kids talking and laughing with everyone else but him. "Brian," he hears someone say. "Hey, Brian, over here." Brian turns and sees Justin waving him over. Emilio nods at Brian as he makes room for him at the table. First time friends have asked him to eat with them. "Cookie?" "Thanks." Maybe, just maybe, Brian's not so invisible after all. So after this story, wrong page. We did get to discuss a little bit as a class, but if you'd like to pause and take some time to chat with your first grade friend, here are some of the questions at the end of the story. When the bell rings for recess, Mika and JT take turns choosing kids for their kickball teams. How did Mika and JT choose players for their team? Was it a fair way to select players? Why or why not? Have you ever tried to join a group game or activity and other kids wouldn't let you? If yes, how did that make you feel? Have you ever intentionally excluded other kids from joining your group, game, or activity? If yes, why? So, and then a couple ending discussion points. Maybe, just maybe, Brian's not so invisible after all. How many kids did it take in this story to help Brian begin to feel less invisible? What specifically did Justin do to make Brian feel less invisible? Are there kids in your class, grade, or school who you see being treated as if they are invisible? If yes, what could you do to make them feel more valuable and appreciated? Really good books here. This battle's getting tougher and tougher. All right, clicking the link below, we're going to be voting between The Invisible Boy and Pig the Fibber. Good luck. May the best book win.